Hey there, we're going to try something different today. We're going to try to do a virtual online lab. So before I get started, I just want to give a big thanks and shout out to Pit Interactives. All the different visuals that are going with this lab came off of their website. So it's their property. I'm not trying to monetize this. I'm just using it to teach during the COVID outbreak. So I hope they'll let me keep the YouTube videos up so I can teach people about this important topic. All right, so the name of this lab is about comparing how different gases block infrared light. I would prefer the term energy because I think it's a little less confusing. All right, so let's get going. Listen to that super sweet soundtrack, available on SoundCloud, YouTube. All right, so the first part about this lab is they're going to fill these bags with different gases. So the first gas they're filling up here is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide we should all be familiar with. It's what we breathe out. Plants fortunately breathe it in, but humans have been putting increasingly large amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, mainly by burning fossil fuels. So when you burn oil, when you burn coal, those things to create electricity, when you burn gasoline, which is a derivative of oil, inside your car, all those things put carbon dioxide up into our atmosphere. So this lab is going to help us see how much heat does carbon dioxide actually trap. Okay? The next bag they're filling up with air, plain old air. So remember, air is a mixture of several different gases. Nitrogen, mostly 70%. About 20% of it is oxygen. And then there's also water vapor, right? Which, a little bit of water inside the bag as well. So, but this is just air, regular old air. You can breathe this. So they're going to fill one bag with regular air. All right, so you see that cow in the background. That's because they're filling this up with methane. So methane, the reason they had the cow is because one major source of methane gas in our atmosphere comes from the farts of cows and other animals like pigs and stuff, right? When they eat their feed, because we're raising them for milk, we're raising them for beef to eat. So more and more people around the world want cows, and so more and more are being raised. But that's increasing methane amounts in our atmosphere. There are some natural sources of methane. One of them is just the decaying matter or the living things that are now dead inside a swamp. So as those things rot, they will give off methane gas. Another source of methane gas is when we drill into the ground to find fossil fuels, methane gas can be released there. Okay, so it's another gas. They're filling this bag with methane. All right, so that's a can of coolant. This specific coolant is the kind of thing you can buy at an AutoZone or something, and you can put this in your. And a lot of people need to do this to put this in their car to make their car's air conditioner colder. So this is an older one. This is called tetrafluoroethane. It was developed in the late '80s and released in the early '90s. And it was created because it does not destroy the ozone layer as much as previous coolants did. So there are a lot of coolants around, right, in your air conditioner, in your refrigerator, but also in vehicle air conditioners, especially like trucks and shipping containers that are trying to keep foods cool, right? Frozen foods, frozen or cold drinks. Those trucks that are riding around, they're going to have some kind of coolant pumping through. So tetrafluoroethane was one that was created in the 90s. We're not going to see them fill up a fifth bag, but they do have another bag that they fill up, which has got a more recent coolant developed called HFO 1234. And it's basically the same exact chemical, but it's just modified a little bit. Okay, so this is a coolant, this is a bag filled with that coolant. So this is their setup to gather data. All right. So they're going to have a digital camera, which is just a regular camera that you could get at a store, right? It takes pictures, and pictures are just images of light. So our human eyes pick up light waves and we see them as colors. This camera over here is an infrared camera. So if you're a video game player or somebody who's seen like night vision goggles, you might be familiar with what this looks like. But an infrared camera is a camera that picks up the heat waves. So think about last week, we talked about how light travels in waves, but so does heat. Human eyes cannot see heat. Some animals can, but we cannot. So what an infrared camera does is it takes the heat waves and then it converts them into colors, which we can see. And that's Simon. Sweet hoodie, bro. So then what they do is they place these bags over a very, very hot heat plate. Looks like it's about 60 degrees Celsius. That's really hot. So now that they've got the bag on the plate, the cameras are going to show how much heat can pass through the bag, right? The bag contains different gases. And this is the basic idea behind the whole lab. Because what you're going to see in each small video is what the digital camera shows. So as you can see here, right, that heat plate square is being blocked. You can see that it's hotter than the things around it, right, where the hands are and where the like the buttons were. But the heat plate, that square is giving off heat. So the whole point of this lab is to look at these 5 different bags of gases and determine which gases will allow heat to pass through the atmosphere, right, and escape, and which of the gases that we're studying are actually going to trap heat inside, causing the greenhouse effect, right, causing the temperature of the Earth to rise. So if you want to rewatch this video, go ahead, but I think the rest of the lab is pretty self-explanatory. I hope you enjoy it. Good luck.